Welcome to Bari Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
It's kind of sad. This is our last, not our first. That's next year. This is our last guest of the year for 2020.
It's very sad.
Oh, also, sorry. It is Christmas in what is this, 22nd? With me,
3 days.
3 days. So we need to...
It's the most
wonderful time of the year.
All right, now with Lita as a backup, without a backup singer?
There'll be kids jingle belling and everyone
we're not doing this
yelling,
again.
they'll be of good cheer.
It's the most wonderful... No, okay, I won't do that. Sorry. All right. Yeah, so it is Christmas in 3 days. We are pre-recording this because, yes, I'll be heading off on my little voyage.
I've been telling people that I think your surgeon removed part of your brain at the same time as they removed part of your stomach.
I think that was well gone before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think this is a side effect of maybe that part of the brain not being utilised properly.
So tell us, Shan, how far are you riding? How far are you attempting to ride?
Attempting? How far am I riding? 850 kilometres. 850 kilometres over 6 days. So approximately 150 kilometres a day.
So from the Sunshine Coast down to Taree in 6 days on a push bike.
On a push bike.
During COVID and during
Christmas
flooding.
holidays.
And
lots of traffic.
There's flash flooding, there's Christmas holidays. But
you'll
have a support vehicle.
I don't do things by halves. Yeah, no, I do. I'm by myself for the first 2 days, and then Mum is going to come down and take.
But you're
my
not by
stuff.
yourself because you've got a little entourage riding with you for
I have
parts
friends.
of the way.
Yeah. I have friends riding
Shannon
down
has
to.
friends. Friends.
Geez, wow. So I have friends down to about Caboolture, and then I think a few friends are going to pick up in Brisbane, and then I think I'm on my own down from Brisbane to Ballina area. But guys, if anyone lives on the east coast of Australia, I want you to get out there. I want you to look on my link in my bio on my Instagram. There'll be a little link, and you'll see where I'm at. And then just join on. If you go, look, Shannon's coming down my street, I'm going to go for a little pedal with him or
Having
run.
said that, by the time this comes out, it'll be the people in New South Wales because you'll be over the border by then.
22nd. Yeah, 23rd. Yeah. Yes, I would be. I'd be like Ballina / Coss Harbour. If you're in that area, please come on out. High five me. Jump on your bike.
Jump on the
whatever
bike.
it is. Let's just do
Flash
this together.
Flash your boobs, whatever.
Flash your boobs. I'll flash my boobs. But yes.
Don't
well, it is the last guest of the year. And, I'm going to say not all heroes wear capes because our guest tonight, at very short notice, jumped on, saved the day, and is sitting down to do this final episode with us. So we're going to wing it. We're going to have a chat with her. I'm excited.
We haven't even prepared questions tonight. It was very much, you free? Yep, cool, let's go.
Let's go. We'll try it out.
We'll give it a go. Sorry in advance if it's horrible, but hey, it'll be fun. It'll be good.
It'll be fun. Well, do you want to introduce our guest?
Having said that,
that's where we go next.
This is the one part that I did actually write down, so I should be able to get this part right. So
no pressure.
Yeah, watch it. I'll balls it up. Our guest tonight is coming up to her 2 years surgeversary. She was fleet back in February of 2019 with a start weight of 138 kilos and had a bit of a rocky start. Spending 1 night in ICU and 5 weeks in hospital with a leak, she has definitely bounced back and is owning her newfound life. Please welcome our last-minute guest and superhero of the night, Tegs, also known as Tegs Sleep on the gram. Hey, Tegs.
Hello. How are you?
We appreciate you so much for jumping on and doing this for us. No pressure. Don't be nervous. We just drop things last minute. All good things just come at the last second. Reading your form actually just before, I had no idea that you had a leak.
Yeah, it was an interesting start, I can tell you.
You're part of the 1%. Look, we like to get statistics on, and they say that leaks happen to 1%.
Is it 1%?
And you are part of the 1%.
Wow. So we'll start there and then we'll go backwards. We'll kind of mix it up. We're just going to just fly by the seat of our pants tonight. Start off, tell us with the leak, what was the actual situation with that?
Can I just hang on? Did you just say you want to fly by the seat of your pants?
I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
It's flying by the seam of your pants.
Mate, tonight, making things up. Now we're rolling.
Anyway, continue. Tell us about your leak, Tees.
Okay, so I had my sleeve surgery. It was on a Friday. I was discharged from hospital the next day after the barium swallow test had passed. And was sitting at home for the next couple of days, and then a couple of days after my surgery, I had a really sharp pain after drinking, and it wasn't the gas pain that we're very familiar with, the shoulder tip pain and the rib pain. It was really quite bad. I felt like I was having a heart attack, honestly. So I was rushed to emergency in regional Victoria, Bendigo. And, yeah, after a week there, I was transferred back to Melbourne, and they found that I had a leak, and it had actually turned into an abscess. So what had happened is at the staple line at the top of my stomach, the leak happened, and then to protect the rest of my stomach cavity, an abscess formed, which actually grew to be the size of football, apparently.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. So that was filled with all yucky, disgusting stuff
delicious.
that needed to be drained, essentially.
Wow, that's crazy. So it was just a leak, and it was like, so how did it actually form outside of the stomach? So it was just, was it the fluid? Because I like from what I've been told, when you get leaks, the big thing is, you know, it causes infections. So in your case, it actually caused
An abscess.
Yeah, so it caused the infection was definitely there, but the abscess sort of was protecting it from going into the actual stomach cavity, and if it wasn't for the abscess, then it would have been quite bad and gone sort of throughout my body a bit more. So there was an infection there, and I was septic as well. So I was very, very sick for a couple of weeks until I actually figured out what was happening with me and got the antibiotics and everything right. But yeah, it wasn't until I actually went to Melbourne and they, a week after I went into emergency, that they tried to fix what they thought was just a bit of a leak, and they were going to put some pigtail drains in, and it ended up being that huge abscess that, you know, was quite bad. I didn't really go well in that surgery and ended up in ICU for a night while they stabilised me. So, yeah.
So that's interesting. So, like, what was the sign that you had a leak? Like, what was the first moment you kind of recognised that you had that leak?
I didn't know what was happening to begin with. All I knew is that couple of nights after my surgery that I had that really sharp pain. I didn't know what was happening. And for those who don't know, in Bendigo, so in regional Victoria where I live, they don't actually do sleeve surgeries or bariatric surgeries at my hospital. So they weren't sort of really familiar with what to do in that situation, which is why I was transferred to private hospital in Melbourne to some more specialist surgeons to look after me.
So when you say a sharp pain, was it in your your abdo area, like in your stomach? Like it was localized pain in your stomach?
It was sort of more in my ribs and chest area, and it was different to the pain that I'd had with the gas pain. So it was just more intense. I couldn't move. Silly me though, thinking that, it's just bad gas pain. I went and got my partner to chuck a heat pack in the microwave, just in case that helped, and chucked that on me even though I couldn't really move. And yeah, a few seconds after I put it on there, I realised it wasn't going to do anything to the pain, and
it was
not even the pain relief that they gave me at the hospital was really doing much either. So that I didn't actually know that I had a leak until I was transferred to Melbourne a week after. When I was in the Bendigo hospital, they knew that there was an infection. They knew that something had gone wrong, and they were doing a number of tests. But it was when they transferred me through to Melbourne that they figured out what had happened.
Crazy.
Well, if that doesn't prove how much of a fighter you are, I don't know.
I love how like the body kind of adapted to it though and protected you.
Yeah.
By not just letting it created like kind of a wall to kind of stop the infection. But yeah, that's crazy because it's a good point to point out like the sharp pain so people can actually recognize what to look for, because like you and I both know throughout the early stages, you're like, oh, there's a pain here. Is that a leak? You know, is there a pain here? Is that a leak?
I've been told you know if you've got a leak because you literally feel like you're dying. Could you back that up?
100%. Yes, I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't know what was happening. I thought the world was ending.
So you're like, no, I just feel like I may die. I don't feel like I am dying, so I clearly don't have a leak.
It's not a leak because I'm not dying yet. No.
Yeah, that's literally it. So yeah, wow, Teague, that's crazy. That is like you are the 1%. That's good news, guys. She survived. She survived. Just putting it out there.
I'm here.
Yeah, she's here. So
And in saying that, even though you had quite the traumatic first 5 weeks, do you regret your decision?
No, not at all. I was very lucky. So we might touch on this later, but I had a lot of preparation with psychologists before my surgery. So I was lucky to sort of have a lot of coping strategies that really helped when I was in hospital. And it's kind of made me, obviously I wish I didn't go through the experience the way I had, but it's kind of made me a lot more grateful for what I have and the opportunity that I have. And I think that due to that, maybe I'm more likely to, be successful and not just with the weight loss or with the surgery, but, just trying to do as much as I can with my life, essentially.
No, that is. It almost puts it in perspective for you because we all kind of go into this with that, this may happen, but for you it did happen, and then you kind of got through it. So now you use it as like, this is me. I need to plow on with this. I didn't go through this for nothing.
You got a second chance.
Yeah.
Literally got a second chance.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, I want to understand who Tegan is. So I like to ask, who was Tegan? Take us back. High school. Who were you? What would you categorize yourself as?
High school, I had a lot of insecurities and I was bullied a fair bit. So I didn't have a great time in high school. However, I did have some really good friends there. It's just unfortunate that the bullying tended to make me question my friendships and whether they were genuine or whether it's just people felt sorry for me and things like that. So I went through high school with a lot of uncertainty and insecurity, which is really unfortunate. I thought I was absolutely huge in high school, and I was told the same by my bullies, when in reality, I think we were the same size, if not, they may have been a bit bigger than me. So it's just one of those things that when somebody tells you often enough that you're not worthy, you end up believing it, and that's something that you take through life with you.
It is, and this is why I like to ask this question too, because for me, I know a lot of things that are established into who I am as an adult came from when I was a child in school. Like I'm very untrusting now. I'm a very extroverted person, but I'm not extroverted when I first meet someone because I need to establish that footing to make sure they're not going to try and, use it against me. Like I know at school, someone can't be like, hey, Shannon, I want to be your friend. Next minute, they're putting a hot glue gun down the back of your leg. They're putting a drill in your shirt. They're making fun of you by getting you, to accept that, like to let your guard down. And so for me, I think that's definitely implemented into me. So why now I'm kind of a little bit hesitant to let people in straight away.
It's funny because I sought attention so much when I was at high school. Like all I wanted was to fit in. I wanted for people to stop calling me the fat lesbian. I just wanted to I wanted to fit in. And so I'm a very open, and I love making new friends, and I love, starting new friendships and connections and stuff. But I always start it with the whole like, why are you trying to be friends with me? What are you trying to do? Like, why are you trying to get close to me right now? What's your reasoning behind
this? And isn't that, I think that is definitely coming from, being a bigger person as well. And like Tegan is saying, like, you do have that guard up of like, is this person generally wanting to get to know me, or they have other alternative motives leading forward from this? And I get that. I get that a lot. Like, it's, you've kind of a soft target, especially when you're a bigger person, or, you're not society standard of a person.
Or you'd meet somebody and you'd just be waiting, like you'd be clenching, so to speak, to be like, when's it coming? What are you about to throw at me? What insult are you going to throw at me? What are you going to...
Do you feel like this is something, you've taken lessons away from, your earlier stages and through your early adult years to make you who you are now?
Yeah, so I certainly have had a guard up in the past. Thankfully, the friends that I had in high school were really good friends, and we're still friends to this day as well. They stuck with me, and they sort of recognised that, you know, I was being bullied and things like that. So they've actually, you know, stuck with me, and, you know, we'll be friends until we're old and grey. They're just a really great group. But I don't know, I guess I had my guard up when I was younger, so in my 20s, and it wasn't probably until I started seeing a psychologist that I kind of changed my perspective, and I thought, well, I'm just going to put myself out there, you know, and if I get hurt or if somebody has an issue, that's on them, it's not on me. So I've kind of had that same perspective for the last sort of few years. You know, as I've been in my late 20s and I'm 30 now. So, so the guard's down now because I kind of think, well, I've got nothing to lose. I am who I am now. And if you screw me over, that's on you. You just don't get the benefit of my company, I guess.
100%.
I love that.
That's a good way
so
to look at it.
yeah.
No, it is a good way to look at it. And you don't look at it like that when you're a kid because you're trying to develop connections and you're trying to be friends with everyone because, you know, you just don't know where your place is in the world. But as you get older, you realise, you know, I'm happy with what I am. I've established who I am and I don't need these people if they don't appreciate who I am. And I think that's really good as a human to develop those things. Speaking of which, you actually got with your partner when you were 15. So you would have met him during school?
So we actually met through friends. So my friend was going out with his friend, and we actually started chatting on MSN.
God, that's showing our age, isn't it?
Mate, it wasn't Yahoo Chat. That's where I met most of my friends, all right?
Yeah. So younger people listening to this won't know what MSN is. It's similar to, I don't know, your
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger, but cooler.
Yeah, pretty similar to that. So we started talking on that. We had a couple of group dates, and then we had our first date at the laser tag place, which was very cute. Played some mini golf.
I would still take that date there, not gonna lie.
We went ice skating and, you know, all that when we were younger and, you know, all those little innocent things. But, yeah, we've been through a lot together, been through some awkward years together as you know, go through your late teens, early 20s and, we're just going through life together.
Yeah. How did he, because obviously what point in your life did you realise that, you know, weight was getting on top of you and you were struggling to, you know, manage it by yourself?
So there was quite a few conversations that I've had with my partner, but also, you know, my mum and my family as well about my weight over the years. You know, I knew that he was concerned for my health. So to give you an idea of when I put the weight on, it was sort of after I moved out. I was about 19 and I was at uni. And when I started uni, I had some undiagnosed anxiety, and the way that I would comfort myself is food. And uni is very stressful, and going through exams and things like that. I just keep eating and eating. We had a pizza shop down the road, and, you know, Tight-Ass Tuesday would come along and I'd, you know, be getting my pizzas and things like that. Fish and chip shop wasn't far away. So there was just a lot of comfort eating, and I piled the weight on. It was probably in my early to mid-20s that my first conversation with my partner where he said that he was concerned about my health. You know, over that time I tried a number of diets, and I genuinely wanted to try and lose weight myself and get healthier. And it wasn't until probably my late 20s, I think I was probably about 27, 28, when one of my partner's friends actually passed away unexpectedly. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for my mental health, dealing with that. And that's when I got a referral to see a psychologist. So it was when I actually saw a psychologist and I untangled my thoughts, and which is probably the best way I can describe what a psychologist does for you. It's untangling your thoughts and your distortions about yourself. But I realised that's when the penny sort of dropped, and I realised I need to do something lasting. And my GP actually referred me to the psychologist I would have seen if I was to have bariatric surgery. So she was specialised in patients that had eating issues. And, yeah, that sort of started me on the path to really thinking about bariatric surgery for me and actually taking control of my life.
Were you quite open with when you decided to have bariatric surgery, were you quite open with everyone that you were going to go through this process?
Yeah, I was. So I've been open with my weight loss challenges and things like that in the past, and it was, mortifying when I would, put the weight back on and things like that. Like I'd post, I'd want to lose 10 kilos and, please donate money per kilo I'd lose and things like that. And I'd lose the weight and that would be, all shared, but then I'd put it back on and then I'd sort of hide away again. So when I decided to have bariatric surgery, I made the decision that it's going to be out in the open. Potentially I will lose weight quite quickly, which is, generally what happens. People will probably ask questions, and I don't want to have to, have people questioning it behind my back. I just want to take control of the narrative and put myself out there and let people know what happened. And then as I've sort of went on, I've been grateful that I took that stance from the very start, because I think that it has helped to break the stigma around bariatric surgery, because I've had quite a number of people approach me saying that, since following my journey, they've ordered of it themselves and have asked me questions and things like that. So I didn't want people to think that I had lost this weight naturally, because for me, I wasn't successful with that.
Yeah, I wasn't doing justice to the process.
So I wanted them to know how I'd done it, essentially.
So because you were so open from the very beginning, in the form we ask everybody what was one of your biggest fears going into surgery, and you said one of your biggest fears that you were going to fail in front of everybody. When you were going through your leak in hospital, and because you had made it so public to all of your friends and family, did you sort of feel that you were failing before you even started?
No, but the thing that I was afraid of is that I would put off other people from having the surgery by sharing that part of it. So I did share posts about my leak on Instagram as I was sort of discovering what was happening and things like that. I shared a lot of that. I wasn't doing stories at that stage, and I didn't really have a huge following back then. But I was just so afraid that somebody who had surgery booked or something would have a look at what's happened to me and it would completely put them off. Because even from the early stages when, I was really struggling, I knew that, I would reach the point where I'd be grateful for the surgery still and that it would work out. And I just didn't want somebody to look at my journey and put them off, which, it hadn't. I had, a beautiful woman visit me when she was in for her own sleeve surgery in the same hospital, and she came to visit me when I was in hospital sick. And, I said to her, I'm so sorry. Essentially, I don't want you to put this to make you scared or put you off or anything like that. And she said, no, I think it's important that people know the risks, and people know that it's very rare, but that it can happen. So I think I was just trying to hide that part of it away because I didn't want to have someone not go through the surgery because of me.
Wow, that just goes to
it's
show.
Very true, but it also puts you in a very powerful position too, because you are the 1%, you are the worst case scenario, but you've come through it and you are now succeeding. So it kind of like, as much as you're like, I don't want to discourage people with, I had the leak and I don't want to discourage people through that. It's almost like you're the success story. You're magnifying the result because you have gone through that and you've still done as well as you have. So it does put her in a very powerful position because it's like, you are the success. 1%. You're the 1%, but you succeeded from the 1%.
Yeah.
So,
but it also goes, I loved your response just then because it goes back to talking about the episode when we were chatting to Zashua about being accountable for your actions and knowing that people will, regardless of what we post, they will be impacted. Yeah. So for you to obviously not share in full depth, but only sort of, pardon the pun, leak small details, then
she thought she was so
I thought
clever.
I was hilarious. Nobody laughed. But like you were obviously taking like responsibility on the fact that other people would look at you and go, oh shit, this could happen to me.
Yeah.
So I think that shows massive props to you for actually taking accountability and thinking about other people besides yourself.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, we need to show that side of things because you need to be, accept that may happen. The 1% happens 1% of the time. So, yeah, that's right. I'm a physics kind of guy.
God, the two of us between our calls.
But yeah, how would you so how long through the first year before you were back to kind of being able to do the process and, the leak had all sorted itself, well, not sorted itself out, but it had been sorted out and you'll be able to get the ball rolling again?
So I had, I was in hospital for about 5 weeks. I had a couple of surgeries after that. So my last surgery was in May last year, and that was to actually, I forget what a dilatation. So put a little balloon down. So all of my surgeries, luckily, were through gastroscopy, which is really good. So they didn't have to open me up or anything like that, which is, obviously have a lot of risks with it. So my last one was just to actually put a balloon down and just stretch out a narrow part of my stomach. And then ever since then, I've been absolutely fine. So at that stage, shortly after that in May, I started on soft foods and went through that sort of process. And then I started at gym in late June. So, so pretty much ever since then, I've just been absolutely fine. Have a little bit of reflux every now and then, but that's managed. So I've just been just like any other normal bariatric patient since then.
I met you at the Melbourne Christmas party. It was last year. Last year. Yeah. I find meetups a really fascinating thing because it kind of puts people that are quite socially awkward and has a lot of anxiety into a public scene. How did you find going to a meetup?
I was really nervous. So I was lucky enough to go up with a couple of girls from regional Victoria as well. So we went up together. So we got ready in their hotel and I went to the meetup. So what my plan for the night was not to stay in Melbourne because I wanted to sort of limit the time that I had to be at the meetup. And I took the last train home at midnight. So it sort of gave me until 11:30 to sort of socialise, and I knew that all I had to do was get to that point and then I'll be able to get home and return to my hermit way.
Yeah.
So I knew that, if I could just get through then, that would be fine. And look, I had a lot better time than what I expected, and I actually felt amazing to be dressed up and, be wearing a jumpsuit that I absolutely loved and have makeup on because I hadn't actually invested that time in myself for quite some time. I don't remember the last time I dressed up nicely and put my makeup on and, felt beautiful like that. So I think more of the focus for me was about how I felt. And then, I just I was winging it that night. And I was a bit nervous. I didn't talk to you guys very much because I was a little bit
overwhelmed.
nervous. I was fangirling a bit
I still do that with
Shannons
Lita.
Voyage.
Yeah, no, I do that with Lita all the time. She makes me. So is social anxiety something you've always struggled with, or is there a certain point that you kind of realised that, you know, you weren't going outside as much, you were avoiding public situations?
I think that I've always been naturally anxious, so doubting myself and having that voice in my head saying that, you know, oh, they're going to think that you're silly, or, you know, what are you saying, Tegan, that's stupid, and things like that. And that probably started from when I was at high school, because that's pretty much what I was being told by my bullies.
Yeah.
But it did get worse when I put weight on and I felt like physically conscious of my body and, you know, people looking at me, but also my body like physically taking up more space as well. So one of the most anxious things for me was going on a plane, not just for, you know, putting the seatbelt on and just hoping that it will actually fit and I won't need the extender, but also like having someone sit next to you and being like fully conscious of every inch of your body, and, you know, hoping that they, you know, don't feel inconvenienced by having to sit next to you. So, yeah, I guess it got a lot worse as I got bigger. And then I still have social anxiety, but it is managed now, and I feel that, you know, physically being able to feel better about myself, and also be able to wear better fitting clothes and things like that does actually help me feel more confident about myself.
Yeah, so clearly you're still getting into meetups and stuff like that and putting yourself in those public situations. What do you find helps you push through that barrier of social anxiety to get to those kind of events?
I think that I know myself, and I know that if I sit on something for a while and I think about it too much, that I'm more likely to think the worst and think that, you know, if I do go, it's going to be terrible. You know, people are going to judge me and things like that. But if I actually just jump in, then the world won't end and I'll be absolutely fine. And I will probably even enjoy myself. You know, hence tonight. When Lita sent me the message and asked me if I could go on tonight, my initial thought was, oh, no, make up an excuse. You know, you're not going to be able to do that. And I thought, no, stuff that. It'll be absolutely fine. Yes, I may be awkward, but...
So are the two of us, so it's fine.
Yeah, mate, I think anxiety is part of your human instinct. Like, it's part of who you are as a human, because I still get anxious. Like, going to meetups, I talked about that the other day, like, going to meetup, I still get anxious. You know, sitting down to do a podcast, I still get anxious. It's more because I'm like, Shannon, don't say something stupid.
Don't say something stupid.
And then I'm like, flying by the seat of my pants, or whatever it was.
So did you went to the Melbourne Christmas party this year?
No, I was going to go, but dental work happened,
Oh, that's
so
right.
I was unable to go. I was really disappointed though, because I was looking forward to meeting a lot of people I haven't met before, and also, you know, bumping into some people that I met the previous year. But I'm looking forward to going down to Melbourne and the future meetups next year. I'm an hour and a half away. So even if it's just something casual, like meeting up with a few people for lunch, I'm, you know, definitely looking forward to that. So hit me up, guys.
Yeah,
Doesn't that just show you how far you've come, though? Like, from last time to giving yourself a curfew so that you could go home and be escaped to now being like, damn it, I missed this one because of dental problems. But hey, if you want to have a coffee, let me know. I'm only an hour and a half away. Like,
it's like a lot of things. It's a gradual process, but sooner or later you get to a point where you just like don't even recognize it. Like, you know, I go out in public all the time now, and I'm like, once upon a time, this would have been like flying on a plane would have just been my absolute, just hated it because I would have felt like this guy hates sitting next to me because I'm bigger, I'm taking up space,
and I smell funny.
And I smell funny because I smell funny. So we read in your form, obviously, that you know, COVID kind of set a lot of your plans back. You know, what were those plans, and where do you hope to go? Let's say the next 2 years. Where do you see yourself in 2 years from now?
All right. So where I was before COVID is I was loving gym doing weights and, building up my strength as well. But I was also getting into running a bit too. I was starting park run, and I was starting with, little stints, starting to actually run. And Leah was helping me a lot with this. So was Shannon. Thank you, guys. With recommendations for Garmin watches and what have you. So I'd like to get back there again. But I've also recognised too that, maybe running isn't for me either. So if I try running and it's not for me, that's fine. I also love swimming as well. So I want to get back into swimming, which I've spoken to Lita about previously as well. So I want to try different things like that. I still love going to gym and doing weights, so I want to build up my strength there. Beyond that, I'd really love to go overseas, to Europe. Obviously, with the current COVID situation, that won't be happening for quite some time, but I've got some time to save and plan, and when hopefully COVID's not a thing one day, we'll get over there and have some adventures.
Yeah, and you are happy with where you're at, like weight-wise? You're happy with where you're at? You just want to progress fitness-wise, strength-wise?
Maintain fitness?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I've been maintaining my weight for about or close to a year now. It fluctuates, and I still monitor my weight every now and then. I don't monitor it strictly. I just jump on the scales when I feel like it, just to get an idea about it. But I don't share my weight on my Instagram page anymore because I don't feel the need to, because my journey isn't about weight anymore. It's about the way I feel, and mostly about my mental health as well. I've said before on my page that I'm consistently inconsistent on my page. So some days I'll have a million stories and I'll be engaging heaps. And then other days, I might go a whole week without posting anything just because I need to step back a bit and just be a bit more on the spectator side. So I do engage a bit more. Having said that, I always respond to DMs, guys, so feel free to message me at any time. But yeah, I put my confidence a bit too, and just I need to figure myself out more and actually just lay out further plans for myself too, because it is a little bit weird once you actually reach goal weight to figure out, what do I do now? Like, I've spent so long trying to lose weight and get to this particular number. I'm at this number now. What's next? So I felt a bit directionless for a while, and to be honest, I still feel a little bit directionless. I'm not the type of person that, has really firm plans and goals and things like that. I like to do things that I enjoy, and I want to continue placing my goals that way as well. But yeah, I'll figure things out.
I think that's
enjoying at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's really
trying to lose weight.
I think it's really important too what you're just saying too about the weight side of things, because I think me in the first year was very weight directed. Second year was very like that maintaining, and this year and like we sat down and did we're doing like a podcast for the last episode where we asked a certain question, and I was kind of reflecting back on 2020. I said this is probably the first year that I haven't been super defined by the scales. Yep. Like I actually can't remember the last time I looked at the scales. Like I don't weigh myself anymore. Like I don't even look.
You know what's funny? Because I was the same, and then recently I've gotten on the scales and the number's gone up a little bit, and and when I say a little bit, I mean I've gone up 3 kilos, which to me is not weight gain, because then I got on the scales 3 days later and I've gone back down to where I was before. But I got up to 71 kilos, and in my head I was like, oh my God, you're in the 70s again. You've got to get back down to the 60s. And then I remember saying to you, Shannon, back in the early stages, I was sitting around 72 kilos, and I was like, I don't really want to get to the 60s. Like it's not, I think 60s is too low for me. And then for me to get on the scales a week or so ago and being at 71 and me freaking out. I was like, hang on a second, you got to remember
You're letting
back
the
to
scale
me.
define
Yeah,
you
like
again. Yeah.
I had to remember back to a year and a half ago where I was like, shit, I don't want to get to 60s, but now I've hit 70s and I'm like, oh shit, I need to get back to 60s. And I was like, okay, it's time to put them away.
But I
again.
think I just think honestly, you get to a point if you put the right strategic methods in place throughout those first 2 years, there will become a point. Like for me now, like I love the life I live. Like I enjoy what I do. I'm not going to say everyone's a runner. Like no one needs to run, no one needs to cycle. But if you find those methods that get you active, at the end of the day, it's going to be calories in, calories out. If you're exerting more than you're putting in, then you're going to find that balance. And that's what it's about. Yes, you can have the balance, you can have the cheesecake, but you need to weigh it out with the other thing, you know what I mean? So it's like all about the balance. And for me to reflect back on 2020 and be like, you know what? I actually can't remember the last time I weighed myself. That's the first time in my life that I've ever done that because I have been defined by the scales my whole life. Yeah. Like I've looked at the scales and been like, oh, it's going up. It's going down. It's going up. It's going down. And for me to look back and go, actually, I can't remember the last time I weighed myself is a huge thing.
Massive.
Huge thing. Yeah, so
somebody asked me the other day, why don't you ever mention how much you've lost still? And I was like, well, because to me, as you said, Tegs, like it's no longer about a weight loss journey. For me, it's about my new lifestyle. And I'm a massive believer in, yes, losing the weight in the first, 6 months is very important because it sets you up for...
From a physical aspect, yeah totally. I get that.
We all have weight loss surgery to lose weight.
There's no questions about it. Feel a certain way.
But after a certain point in time, if you are only fixated on the scales, what happens once you hit your goal weight? There's nothing else to strive towards.
Yeah, I think we said it the other week. Like you had weight loss surgery to never be on a diet again.
Yep.
Like you need to take this opportunity. It's the most extreme thing you can do to create that lifestyle that will just keep you on that evil kill, evil kill. And just help you proceed into the future, because at the end of the day we don't want to be on a diet our whole life. We want to be someone who can just live our life and life happens, but we feel comfortable in our own skin.
Like part of the reason why I don't share my numbers of my clothes, how much I've lost, all that sort of thing. I'll share how fast I can run because it's not that fast, but I'll share those numbers. but like it takes us back to one of the responses that you have, Tegs. I don't want people to compare themselves to me because if I'm a year out and I'd lost 50 kilos and somebody's a year out and they'd only lost 20 kilos, it would then, therefore, they're going to compare themselves to me. And I'm not about that. Like we all are on our own journey. We are all doing our own things.
We also all have our own pressures.
Yeah.
Like we don't need external pressures. Like we are already in our own heads. We are already struggling with social anxiety. We're struggling with the weight. We're struggling with what we're eating. Are we eating the right thing? Is the sleeve doing the job? We don't need to have this other person over here being like, they're doing better than me.
Yeah.
Because it's just another pressure. We don't need that. Life's hard enough without these external pressures of other people who are supposed to be inspiring us, putting that added pressure.
Yeah.
So do you find that like having other people, to look at and work towards, it helped you or hindered you?
I think it's done both for me, honestly. Comparison is the thief of joy. I think it's been said on this very podcast before. But it is hard not to compare yourself to others. And honestly, I was comparing myself to others and thinking, I should be running marathons and things like that. Yes, I was comparing myself to you two. But I made the realization that I don't actually want to run marathons. I want to run, yes, but that's not for me. I, definitely want to be fit. I want to be healthy. But I want to do it in my own way. And for me, it's all about balance. I don't want to feel guilty about having a donut or, going out for a drink or something like that. I don't want to be, earning my calories or, burning off a piece of food that I've had. Yep. I just want to feel balanced and not even feel any pressure about what I'm eating, how I'm exercising. I just want to be natural and just live my life. Essentially, and just stick to my lane as well. And I like seeing people, succeeding in what they want to do. But it has taken a little bit to shift my focus from comparing myself to other people to actually recognizing their successes for what they want to do and recognizing that my goals are different and what I want in my life is different. We're all individuals.
Yeah.
Love that.
No, 100%.
So good.
And that's it. And like, that's why lately I've been saying like, my goal is to be happy. Focus on that. Inspire for that. Everyone should inspire for your goal
Aspire.
to be happy. I don't speak good English, all right, Alita? You pointed out like 3 times this episode. But we should all inspire to be happy. I think if we all aspire. God, I'm over it. I'm done. To be happy, then we will all be happy in the end. So I think that's a really powerful message to put across. Even if I don't speak good English, the message is still got across. Everyone
should inspire to be happy.
Thank you.
I have a question for you because you said that one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned since starting your journey is that you're very thankful for, putting your mental health first even before surgery. But you said that the surgery only removes 85% of your stomach. It doesn't fix your relationship with food or yourself, which me and you talk quite frequently in our DMs, and I can vouch for the fact that you have seriously worked on your mental health, like incredibly. You're probably one of the first people that I think of when I think of mental health. But your relationship with food, Little Miss Vegan now, have you become vegan because of ethical reasons, or because, the food sits better in your stomach, or like talk us through that process?
So this is actually interesting. So I haven't labelled myself as vegan yet.
Yep.
And I'm not vegan at the moment. I'm still consuming animal products from time to time because I'm very conscious of not restricting myself. Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm choosing, to not eat animal products or use them is, a lot for ethical reasons. But also they do sit better in my stomach too. If I have a lot of meat, it's very heavy on me. And I just feel a lot better when I'm not eating a lot of meat. But having said that, as I said, I'm trying to go through this in a way that isn't restrictive, because me, like a lot of other people that have had bariatric surgery, have a long history of restrictive diet. And I'm not saying that veganism is a restrictive diet at all, but if I tell myself that I can't eat meat or dairy or any animal products, just as, when we had diets in the past, if we told ourselves we couldn't have donuts or chips or whatever, that's what we want. So I haven't labelled myself as cutting out animal products completely, because I don't want to see this as something that, I'm doing because I can't eat meat. I'm wanting to do it because I choose not to eat meat. And as it is, I don't eat a lot of animal products at all, and I am mostly plant-based. But I don't think even if I was technically eating a fully vegan diet, I would ever label myself as vegan, because I don't want to put that label on myself and have me think that it's a restriction in any way. And that's just a thing to myself. That may change when I sort of, settle into myself a bit more and things like that. Kirsty is a really good friend of mine, and we talk often about little Audrey, for those who don't know.
Do you mean Audrey? Yeah, Audrey. And then,
little Audrey.
Yeah. And we talk often, and she's been a really great support for me and different ideas, and she's been really good to give me some advice in a non-judgmental way as well, and like awesome recipes as well, like 100% go to her page. But yeah, I'm just wanting to make it a positive change as opposed to a restrictive one.
Yeah,
totally.
We talk about that quite often too, because like me and you will often, I found jackfruit here, or I tried this recipe here, or like I'll see a photo on your page and I'm like, damn, that looks amazing, but I don't class myself as anything. People started calling me a flexitarian because apparently that's the new label for it. But essentially, I eat. If my body is wanting seafood, I eat it. If I didn't eat eggs for probably a whole year, which my mum could not believe, because I used to eat 2 eggs a day, every single day for breakfast. But now I've slowly started introducing eggs back, because I'm like, it's a good source of protein, and I think I might get slammed for this. I think eggs aren't too unethical when it comes to the the animal side of things. People will probably slam me for that,
Yeah,
but
I'm
each to
touching
their
that.
own,
Not
each to
even
their own
touching that.
opinion.
You're on your own.
I like eggs. They're
DM
good
her,
protein.
not me.
I'll generally have a piece of egg, like an egg on a piece of toast for most breakfasts now, whereas
Yeah.
for almost a whole year I stopped eating any sort of cheese, any sort of dairy products, any sort of. But you know, if my body wants it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, no, totally. I if your body wants it, it wants it. Take it, have it, enjoy it, and appreciate it. So if you had to take one lesson away from this whole process, Teags, what would it be? What would be one lesson you would tell Teags prior to surgery or someone just starting off the process?
This is probably a lesson I tell anyone and everyone, is to be kind to yourself. And something that I often repeat to myself, and I've said this to people before, is don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to your best friend. We are so critical of ourselves, and, you know, if we do something wrong or whatever, we're the first person to critique ourselves when, you know, we just need to treat ourselves with a bit of kindness and just move on. So if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. That's pretty much the way I try and live. And it's just, I'm trying a lot more to be kind to myself, to accept myself, my body, which has changed quite a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that
I like
because
that.
it is. We spend a lot of time in our own heads, which means we have a lot of time to think. And if we're against ourselves in our own head, it's kind of like having a bully live inside your own head that is constantly condemning you for your actions and not making you feel worthy. So I like that a lot. I think that's a
done.
really well done, well done,
Well done.
well done. I like that, Teague. That's a great one to put across. Guys, appreciate yourself, validate yourself, and just say I'm awesome. I think it's really
And
important.
take each day as it comes. I think Teagues is very much you had a very rough start and you still made it through. So I kudos to that. You've
It would have
done
been
amazing.
easy for her to throw down the hat and be like, nah,
Done.
obviously I wasn't meant to do this. Nah, but she didn't. She just kept plowing forward, relentless forward motion, and got to where she wanted
Proof
to go.
is in the pudding because you look phenomenal. You're acting phenomenal. Clearly your mental health is well on its way to being
Progressing.
phenomenal.
Doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen.
And I honestly, I love the fact that we have been able to connect throughout this journey because I look for you and I love chatting to you. And even though you probably don't know it, you give me a lot of inspiration. And I love having little DMs with you. And I can't wait to get back down to Melbourne and see you again.
Oh, that's so cute.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that is so cute. Guys, if you haven't already, jumping over to see Teagues at Teagues Sleeved.
Teagues_sleeved.
Yeah, check out her journey. Send her a DM. Tell her how awesome she is. We all deserve to be told that every now and then. And if you haven't already, make sure you tick that little, follow button on Bari Banter so you can keep up to date with all the guests we have on. We've got 2020 is going to roll around before you know 2021 is going to roll around before you know it. We're going to have some amazing guests on. We'd love to hear you who you want to hear from.
I must admit, thank you so much, Teagues, for being our last minute superhero for 2020. You, legit, we gave you about 5 minutes notice that you were coming on tonight. So thank you so much. You did amazing.
She's like, it's what I do.
Mic
it's
drop.
what I do.
She's out.
I'm here to save the world.
That is another episode. That is the last episode of Bari Banter.
Have a very Merry Christmas. Well, yes, that is another episode of Bari Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.